Hey everybody, it's Sunday night at the compound. That means it's an ideal time to turn on the radio voice, turn on the microphone, and talk about smart drugs. What do you guys say we get moving?
Yeah, buddy, you've downloaded Tropical Talk Radio, where we talk about all things entrepreneurship, travel, and lifestyle. If you're interested in more about this program, check out tropicalmba.com. And if you sign up for our mailing list, I will personally send you 50 free podcast episodes that take you along on our journey and expose the insider story on how we started $1 million honest-to-goodness product business while we traveled the globe.
This is Tropical Talk Radio. What, you guys don't like my radio performance skills?
Super cool.
Introduce yourselves. You guys do the announcement stuff. Who are you? What are you doing on the microphone?
CEO, yeah.
Hey, what's up here? We're talking to Travis today. We're going to talk about some smart drugs. We're going to talk about some stacks.
Lots of good stuff. I'm Travis Jamison from SupremacySEO. And we're going to talk about the good stuff to make you healthy and make your brain work better.
So Travis is kind of like one of these Tim Ferriss type body hackers, and everybody just follows him around and takes notes all the time. And one of the big trends in our group of friends is performance optimization, not only with like diet and exercise, but also with supplements and drugs. So basically, we're not qualified to talk about anything. This is just a conversation. Nobody here's a doctor.
For entertainment purposes only.
That's right. So, but we do want to share our perspective on this stuff. So we're going to talk about three things and three things only on this episode. Number one
is general health stack.
General health stack. And a stack is when you take a bunch of stuff together. It's like a concert.
Separate supplements to work on the overview of it all.
You know, Ian and I often talk about this stuff like, I'm so fascinated by this stuff, but there's so much information. It's like, where the hell do you start, right? You know, it's like, do I just take a multivitamin and some fish oil, or what do I do? So we're going to try to address that today.
You know, the big problem here, and I think this is what's cool about this, is you're pulling together some ideas for people to get started. Because when you go to the aisle in the drugstore that has all these supplements, I mean, it's just a wall and no information.
It's a wall.
Oh, yeah. And it's a wall of a lot of bullcrap, honestly.
And just to clarify, also, you have a supplement company. You've engineered your own supplements for your family members. You should bring in some of those anecdotes. They're a classic. But so 3 things. Number 1, a general health stack. Mm-hmm. The second thing we're going to talk about is a
general brain enhancement stack.
A brain enhancement stack. And the third thing we're going to talk about
is an aggressive, edgy productivity stack.
Right, for all the drug addicts out there.
Yeah. The good stuff.
What's going on in Bali, and what's new? What is there any news updates to talk about? We're all heading home soon. I'm going home to New York City for the holidays, so I'll be in Brooklyn for 2 weeks if anybody's in New York City.
Right. So you're heading back to Brooklyn.
Keys.
I'm going to the Keys. We got the house here, the TMBA house. We got it up on Airbnb. Might be a little bit too expensive. I don't know, guys. Let us know what you think about that. If you're within the sound of my voice, we might be able to offer you something special if you want to stay at the compound.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're getting ready to get out of here. Travis is getting ready to get out of here, but you are coming back next year. Very excited about that. So we're going to be spending some more time together. But let's get rolling.
The crowd that's matriculating here and matriculating. What does that even mean? This is some kind of college term.
I think I've heard of that before.
It's a $10 word.
I think you made it up.
I think it's part of your supplement stack. That's right. The crowd of people that are, the AdSense flippers just arrived on a plane. Everybody's pumped up to talk to Joe and Justin. The crowd of people that's been in here in Bali. Whew!
Amazing.
Awesome. All right, so first things first, for people that just want greater longevity, they want to be healthier, maybe they're cutting out the pizza like I did to cut out the carbs this month, what could be a general supplement to get started with?
All right, we got a list of the basics that I recommend everyone take. Clear it with your doctor first. There's my disclaimer. First of all is the multivitamin. And this is where a lot of people go wrong. A lot of people just take their normal multivitamin, their Centrum, and it's really just a bunch of crap. It is not good at all. The lowest quality stuff you can imagine. And a lot of it's probably doing more harm than good.
What does it mean to have a quality, in a vitamin? Isn't it just a bunch of sugar and chemicals? I mean, what's going on?
Yeah, well, one is the most important thing is the type of vitamins and minerals they put in there. A lot of the stuff they use in the lower quality mass marketed things are just not absorbed by the body at all, or very poorly. And some of them actually put very, very low grade types of these ingredients. Like if you look at your multivitamin, you're going to see probably the vitamin E is D-alpha tocopherol, and that's all there is. There's actually like several different types of vitamin E, but they only put one kind in there that's synthetic and actually depletes you of the other stuff. So it's doing more harm than good.
I've heard a lot about this, and there's a lot of people who say that supplements just plain don't work and you should try to do everything through whole foods. How come you're not one of these whole foods guys? Like, why aren't you just going out and eating grass-fed beef all day long?
You can't really do it and be productive. You'd have to spend all of your time doing this stuff. So instead, I find quality supplements that offer the good stuff.
Okay, so if you're not taking the Centrum Silver 1000 or whatever it is, what are you taking?
My whole plan has just been upheaval, you know?
I recommend 2 different kinds to choose from. One is called Adam. It's by Now Nutraceuticals, and it is made for men in particular, the name Adam. And it's got a bunch of quality ingredients. And the other is called MVP by Millennium Sport Technologies, I believe. And you can just look at the ingredient profile and immediately tell, like, wow, this is completely different. It's incorporating tons of stuff, digestive enzymes. It's the way to go.
Okay, boom. So you got your multivitamin. What else we got?
Yeah, all right. We got the omegas, omega-3s. Everybody hears this all the time.
This is like what you would get in a salmon or something like that.
Yeah. But it's still, people aren't doing it enough, I feel. And the people that are not dosing it high enough. Take high dosage of fish oil. If you have heart problems, you might want to check in on that if you're on certain drugs. But and also buy the quality fish oil. A lot of the cheap stuff comes with mercury, farm-raised fish. It's not necessarily good for you. Also, krill oil is highly recommended. It's a little pricey, but for this, I say go for it.
All right, so just as some guy who doesn't do good stuff for his body, if I wake up tomorrow morning and start taking fish oil, am I going to feel like a different person in a couple weeks? I mean, what is noticeably?
Yeah, like a lot of people really do, especially if you have a serious omega deficiency. David in there, he's talking about he started taking it and his skin's not as dry as it used to be. His eyes are doing better. It helps a lot of people in a lot of different ways.
Real quick here, your suggestion is to run all this by your doctor. Say I want to start taking fish oil tomorrow. Say I want to start taking any of these stacks tomorrow. Are you going to start going over the dosage levels?
With a lot of stuff, I'm not. We can put it in some notes possibly.
Okay.
Yeah, if you get on our mailing list.
Yeah.
My intention, so my pitch for the mailing list at tropicalmba.com right now is over 2012, Travis and Ian and myself are going to spend a lot of time together. This is a huge passion for everybody in the group. We're going to do a lot more personal health, personal body hacking kind of stuff in 2012.
Okay, so you've got all this written out. We'll promise to give this to. We'll send out a mailer at some point in the next month or so with this information on it. Maybe. I mean, here, what I want to do for people though is you've got this huge list out here. I hope people are taking notes, but it's really important I think to talk about.
We'll pull the list together in terms of dosages.
Right.
We'll punt on that particular responsibility.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so next thing we got fish oil, we got the multivitamin.
Okay, probiotics, which is the healthy bacteria that lives inside of you. A lot of people think of eating yogurt in order to get this.
Right.
But the amount of probiotics in the yogurt is just incredibly low, and it's very limited a lot of times. I just take a simple pill, 1 or 2 pills a day, and it works wonders. Up to, I think, half of your immune system is made up of the healthy bacteria inside of your stomach and intestines, which makes an incredible impact on your life all around. Not to mention digestion and bloating and all that stuff.
Got it.
Keeps you very healthy. All right, next up we have digestive enzymes. And this
You can take digestive enzymes in a pill?
Yeah.
You go into GNC and say, I'd like some digestive enzymes? I've never even heard of this.
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
The world moves so fast nowadays.
Those crazy kids. All right, this is big for several reasons. Obviously, it helps you break down your food. It helps you absorb things better.
Right.
All your fats, carbs, proteins, vitamins, nutrients, all that good stuff. But then also starts touching on some other areas, which is inflammation. And chronic inflammation is a huge problem with everybody.
Yes.
For the most part. And that supposedly people are saying it causes a lot of diseases.
Cancers and things like that, right?
Yeah, I don't know about cancers necessarily. I just don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Speaking of inflammation, stop eating sugar and carbs is a huge way to prevent inflammation. And also, when we progressively go along, it's like, you're taking all these vitamins and stuff that make you feel a lot better and make you more productive, and then you stack on top of that maybe the natural nootropics, and you stack on top of that the
Yeah.
drugs. But it's all based on that basic foundation of fundamental health.
Yes.
I mean, if you wake up every morning and you feel like shit, all the amphetamines in the world aren't going to make you productive.
Yeah. You'll get a couple hours out of it, and then you feel like shit again.
Right.
And one of the digestive enzymes that I highly recommend the most is called bromelain, and just buy that by itself. Buy the 500 milligram capsules of it, the high quality stuff, and take it all the time. It has so many benefits. You will note if you start taking 3 of those a day, you'll notice that all your sore joints start going away. Things start healing themselves.
So you just listed out 6 things. Are there any more on this list?
Yes.
How many more?
We got 2 more.
All right.
Just that everybody should be taking, in my opinion. We also got the super green foods. This is just a mix of, you see like wheatgrass and stuff like that. It's a mix of all those things, and it's really good for people like me who just don't eat a lot of vegetables. They help make up for all that. It includes all the little micronutrients, the stuff that
Like kale and spinach
yeah,
and that kind of shit.
And it's the stuff you can't just get from a pill really easily. And it also lowers the pH of the body, which is, or raises the pH. Takes it away from being acidic, whichever way that is.
Lower.
Yeah, and definitely makes you more healthy. That's the other thing. Inflammation and the pH of the body are the 2 things that people are saying cause a lot of diseases now.
Got it.
So that's a big one. And the last one for the general health stack is a product called quercetin with a Q.
Ooh.
And that is a natural anti-allergy supplement. Tons of people have little allergies they don't quite realize going around. I know I do myself.
Uh-huh.
And this fights that without the side effects of, the Claridins, the Allegras, the Benadryls, and also has an anti-cancer effect, an anti-inflammation, and
So if I'm going to go home to New York City where all this stuff is available in a couple weeks, can I cherry pick this stuff, or does this stuff have like a concert together? Do I need to take all this stuff?
yeah.
And why is that? Why can't I just go, I'm going to take some fish oil, I'm going to take some of the bio stuff for the stomach?
The body wants to be happy as one. If you just fix one part, there's still other parts lagging. And when you put it in harmony, you'll get the best results.
And you feel like this stack is the harmonious stack?
Without a doubt. This is the healthiest way to go. People will be able to tell a huge difference.
And so what do you recommend? I mean, can I still eat the bag of potato chips that I just about polished off while I'm on this? I mean,
Absolutely, pour on the sugar. You obviously still need to take care of yourself. It's not like you can just take pills and then avoid everything else, at least not yet. It just makes it better when you're doing everything right.
okay.
Let's talk about the fun stuff, boys. I'm excited to talk about this whole new world that's opening up to me. I've always been a coffee drinker. I've always been the green tea drinker.
You've always been a drug addict.
I've always been a drug addict, but I never really heard about all this stuff, and I'm just starting to experiment. I'm so fascinated. So let's talk about the first category of productivity enhancers. What do you call it?
It's just the basic brain enhancement stack.
Okay.
And first we got to define, these are called nootropics. And what those are, like smart drugs, a lot of people think of them, and they will do one or more of the following: increase cognition, memory, intelligence, motivation, attention, or concentration.
Now, so my understanding of the word nootropics is they needed to come up with a separate word because these are cumulative drugs. So an example of something that's not cumulative would be like caffeine.
Yeah.
Right? If you take caffeine every day for 20 years, you're worse off.
Yeah.
But the idea is that if you take paracetam every day for 20 years, your brain actually gets better.
Supposedly so. And so
Supposedly
far the
so.
research is backing that up for the most part. There's not extensive research on just normal, healthy individuals. There is some, especially with the first one we're going to touch on. But they do it with a lot of people with Alzheimer's and dementia with great benefits. But it's mostly anecdotal. People like us taking the stuff saying, wow, this is really working.
Got it.
All right.
All right, so give us the stack, man. This is the fun stuff.
All right, yeah. The first one is called paracetam. And it is the oldest and most studied nootropic there is. It was the one that pretty much started it all. Its method of how it works is not fully understood. Like I said, most studies are completed on Alzheimer's dementia patients, but there is some on healthy college students that says, yes, it does work.
And the cool thing about paracetam is that we've got like 50 years of track record with this stuff.
It's been around for a long time.
So people have been taking it for 50 years and they're still alive and they're not
Exactly.
growing shit out of their ears and stuff.
Exactly. One thing to tell listeners is when you first start taking it, you might feel a little brain foggy at first. It might feel like it has the opposite effect until it really starts setting in your system. And that's just part of it. You can't really get past that. All right, next up is always essential if you're taking paracetam to take choline. And choline is kind of a B vitamin in a form, but it works much different. It makes you more alert, but its main purpose is just to prevent headaches from taking paracetam. It gets depleted when people are taking paracetam.
Got it.
And the two forms that I recommend are the choline bitartrate, or more importantly, the alpha GPC is what it's called.
Okay.
Alpha GPC is very much more studied. It's shown to be way more effective. It's way more expensive, unfortunately. It can cross the blood-brain barrier like the other stuff can't. If you have the money, get alpha GPC.
Got it.
Without a doubt.
We will be putting these on the blog.
Yeah. And so
I'm getting nervous, so don't get nervous.
And so that counteracts the paracetam, or it works with it?
It works with it.
Okay.
It'll make it more effective, but at the same time, it just keeps you from getting headaches is the most important thing.
Okay, and what's the reason? Do we know what the reason is the paracetam gives you the headaches?
It's depleting your choline.
Okay. All right, and choline is a cause of headaches.
Yeah, it's a natural thing. You know, you eat eggs, you're getting choline, stuff like that, so it's pretty natural.
Okay.
All right, the next one is sulbutamine, and it is a derivative of vitamin B1, but it is nothing like vitamin B. This stuff is potent. Some people even compare it to amphetamines sometimes. It reacts differently with different people, but it is just a B vitamin. You should not take it all the time because your body will get accustomed to it.
Okay.
Take it sporadically. I take it 3 or 4 times a week.
Okay,
Kinda
so
just
you take
pop-
this stack 3 or 4 times a week, or just this one part of the stack?
Just this one part.
Okay.
The other stuff you take all the time,
Got
every
it.
day, several times a day if possible. And sulbutamine's been shown to get rid of chronic fatigue, enhance memory, get rid of erectile dysfunction.
Little backup plan.
Yeah. And some people see a huge boost with it, and some people don't. And with this, you should always start with a low dose and work up. Some people respond very differently to this.
That's right. Nobody likes walking around with some problem like that. You know what I
Right.
mean? It could be an issue.
What else you got? Anything else on this?
Yeah, all right, the last one is for stimulant effects. Instead of just chugging a Red Bull or coffee, even though I do love it, very stiff brewed green tea. I drink the iced green tea with no sugar. And it definitely works differently than the other just like caffeine drinks. It has caffeine in it, but it also has theobromine, which is think of extended release caffeine,
Right.
and theanine, which is a nootropic of its own that can cross the blood-brain barrier. Studies showed, Dan turned me onto this, and I've researched it and backed it up, that green tea activates the brain much better than just coffee.
I've
Yes.
seen brain scans of like if you take a brain scan of somebody who just drank a cup of coffee, like their whole brain activity just kind of goes red. Like it increases activity all across the brain. Whereas when you take green tea, it's like the thinking area of your brain gets red.
Yeah.
And you can definitely feel this. This isn't like the lame nest tea, if you have never had legit green tea, go down to like Whole Foods or the Chinese market if you have like an Asian
Yeah.
market. Get the stuff that looks like the nug marijuana, like the really nuggy, like you open it up and it's like dank, it smells in there. Brew that stuff up and it is like taking an amphetamine. It is legitimately like taking an amphetamine.
It's actually, it can be, I think, a little bit dangerous for some people. You've missed work over this before.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother story. But
7 cups later.
the thing,
Don't drink a lot of it.
yeah, you got to be really careful, I think, with all this stuff. I'm really sensitive. My body's really sensitive to this stuff. So I drink like 2 cups of green tea. I could be up for 12 hours. I mean, not going to sleep all night. So I think it's a little bit of a disclaimer here. You gotta do this stuff, in doses and figure out what's
Always
good for
start
you.
low. Everybody's body is different.
So far we reviewed the natural stuff. We've reviewed the supplement for healthy living and longevity stack. We've also reviewed the nootropic, the sort of brain health stack. Now we're gonna move on to the fun stuff, the druggy stuff. But to philosophically about the first 2 stacks, a lot of people have mental barriers to think about this stuff because it's kind of new. It hasn't been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. People say like, I never want to get involved in that stuff, and then they'll go eat similarly artificially concocted stuff like a pizza.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times people have been like, oh, I would never take a paracetam, and then they go down to Romano's and order a pepperoni pizza, which is effectively worse. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm no doctor,
Full
but
of all kinds of bad stuff.
Right. Here's the thing. I was talking to my mom the other day. Mom, so if you're listening to this, she started to get worried about all this stuff. She said, "Well, this is great, but you're talking about changing your body, doing something that isn't necessarily natural." Well, like we just talked about, drinking a Diet Coke and eating a pizza is not necessarily natural, right? And people have been doing this for the last 50, 60 years, and up 75 years old, they can't even move because they've been eating this bullshit forever. Now, I just want to say one more point on this. When we're experimenting with these drugs, Travis, you're a pioneer, and part of the problem with these drugs is that a lot of them, there aren't a lot of scientific studies, and the reason is because there hasn't been enough pioneers like you coming forward and saying this is what's going on. There hasn't been scientific research papers written because that's not usually how these things happen. Usually how these things happen is a guy like you gets a little bit of information, starts experimenting with your body, and then turns other people onto it, and then we start to do research on it, right? So I really applaud you here doing this experimentation.
And we're not saying we're right, but you can't just fall into inherited wisdom as if it made sense. I've asked quite a few people, would it equal dosage for every day for the rest of my life, would I be safer if I took a Diet Coke or a paracetam? Would I be safer if I took 3 slices of pizza or a paracetam? And everybody kind of looks and says, I'd choose the paracetam.
Without a doubt.
Right.
And you'd be smarter.
God. Now, that's talking about this natural supplement, quote natural. Let's move on to the fun stuff. Let's talk about some people that are willing to be a little bit more aggressive, maybe people out there that are interested in really extreme body hacking or have experimented with this stuff in the past. Let's talk about what we could do that's a little bit more fun.
All right, this is more the aggressive brain stack. It's more for getting shit done.
Okay.
All right, the first one we have is the non-prescription. You can buy over the counter. It's called geranium oil, and the more technical name is 1,3-dimethyl something. 1,3-dimethyl. And this stuff is very potent. It mimics norepinephrine, which is the flight or fight response.
Okay.
And imagine it's jacked up caffeine, basically, is what it's going to do.
Do you feel like the heartbeat response?
You can. Some people do, some people don't. If you're just sitting around, probably not as much. If you're out running with this stuff, yes. A lot of the pre-workout ingredients have this stuff in it now.
Okay.
All right, next is it's not a prescription, but you have to ask for it behind the counter, at least in the United States. And it's just ephedrine mixed with some caffeine. This is all the stuff from the old fat burner stacks that everybody used to use all the time. And it's got a bad rep because a couple people got hurt, but they were probably using it very stupidly.
Okay.
If you have pre-existing heart conditions, you should never touch this stuff.
Also, you don't want to use it before you go run a marathon, I'm assuming.
Definitely not. But if you use it in small doses, as you should, it's fine. It's a mild amphetamine type thing.
Okay.
It'll get you jacked up. All right, next we have the actual prescriptions. And of course, we recommend that everyone have a legal prescription to get this stuff. First is like the old school stuff is the Ritalin and Adderalls that every college student in the country is basically using now.
Now, are we supposed to crush this stuff up, or are we sticking it in the pill?
There will be no crushing up of these things.
Okay, just want to clarify that.
Yeah. I have a legitimate prescription for this stuff, for Ritalin, and they're ADD drugs, supposedly. They increase productivity. Now, this is different than the smart drugs, is they're not increasing your IQ and how smart you are and stuff like that. It just increases productivity.
Really, really important distinction to make here. One thing, we've all experimented with these drugs that we're talking about right now, the Ritalin and the Adderall. I think it's important if you're working on a project, and how this relates to business or some kind of project you're working on. If you're working on something, you really want to make sure your wheels are turned in the right direction before you hit the accelerator, right? You don't want the wheels turned to the side and you floor it, right? You really want to have some kind of purpose-driven project that you're planning to accomplish.
Otherwise, you hear stories of people cleaning their house for 12 hours or playing Tetris for half a day. Yeah,
if no one has ever used like a Ritalin or an Adderall, basically what it does is it allows you to settle into a task. You know that feeling like when you pull up the Word document and you're writing that essay, and then you're like, oh, I'll just check out Reddit, or oh, I'll just look at Hacker News, or oh, I'll just check my Facebook account. When you're on Adderall, that kind of goes away. And you feel this kind of positive feedback loop about continuing to focus on the hard task.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird sensation.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this stuff can be addictive.
Yes.
It's amphetamine based, which is in the same family as methamphetamine or cocaine. They're all the same family, just they act differently.
Which means it's prone for abuse.
It's prone for abuse.
And that's why, I shy away from this stuff, because I could just see myself like going through life being like, I'm gonna keep popping these things every time I want to do anything.
A lot of people do.
Right.
Tons of people. All right. And the last thing is kind of the new kid on the block. It's the new Ritalin and Adderall. It's called Modafinil.
Or I say Modafinil.
Modafinil. Yeah. Either way. And this stuff's awesome. This stuff is awesome. It is technically an anti-narcolepsy drug. Keeps people awake. It makes people stay very awake without the stimulated feeling of caffeine or these amphetamine type things.
Modafinil is a drug that I heard on NPR like 3 years ago, and there was this like doctor on there, and they were like, they've developed these drugs for narcolepsy, and there's another big host of drugs that are in development right now that are coming down the pike for Alzheimer's. So basically what's happening is these scientists are developing these things that like just basically light up the brain. Like it allows you to make more brain connections. So it's not like Adderall.
No.
It's not like it's taking Dexedrine or cocaine or Adderall or anything like that. It's like just actually brightening your brain, making more connections. And the U.S. government uses these in force now. Modafinil gets handed out like candy out in the field to soldiers that need to have alertness for long periods of time. And it's sort of interesting. Like there was a moment in the interview when the host kind of turned to the scientist and was like, "Well, what's going to happen if people are taking this?" Like, and he's kind of like, "Well, we don't know because people haven't been taking them that long, but it seems like this stuff's pretty safe." I mean, now famous last words and everything, but it's interesting to hear these scientists kind of talk like this is the inevitability of the future. And the term that they used it was cosmetic neurology.
Ooh. Yeah.
Isn't that sexy?
We're going to have a lot of conversations here where, it's not going to be necessarily about kids having a better education. Maybe like the kids started taking smart drugs when he was 3 years old or something like that. I mean, what's that going to look like?
I've taken Modafinil. I've taken quite a few dosages now, and my experience is it's extraordinarily effective. And it's not in the same sense that Adderall is effective. It doesn't like jack you. Instead, it just lets you settle into a hard task and stay completely focused. And that's been pretty amazing. The other thing that's been pretty amazing about it from my perspective is that it doesn't crack you out.
Yeah.
You don't feel cracky, you don't feel weird, you don't feel a little bit off. Like when you take Adderall, you might feel like super confident or super like, let's have a conversation and argue about politics or something. Instead, you just feel alert, focused, and jamming.
The way you described it of lighting up your brain is perfect.
So how do you feel for people who are listening, just shaking their heads and saying, you guys are seriously suggesting there's a smart drug out there that you can get that's all gravy, that makes you get tons of shit done, you can work 10-hour days. Is it all gravy? I mean, is there any potential downside to this stuff from your perspective?
There's definitely potential downsides. Don't know what it is.
Right.
This has been out for, I don't know, half a decade maybe.
People, if you go on the Wikipedia page, they're like, we don't know how this stuff works.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know if pizza causes cancer either, though.
We don't know how aspirin works.
Yeah. It's you're taking a risk with everything. You're gambling, but a lot of people are betting that, hey, the productivity I get is going to be better than any potential downsides.
Right.
Not to mention the medical technology in the future is advancing at such a rate that who knows.
There's this weird trade-offs you make. It's like, well, if I'm in a business and I'm building stuff that's going to make my life more valuable and I can see a 15% upside by regular aggressive stacks, then I'll be in a better position to afford the medical. I don't know. There's all kinds of weird kooky rationalizations you can make if you really want to be a drug addict.
So a lot of people probably listening are going to want to go directly for this aggressive stack, this third stack, right? Would you go ahead and recommend, hey, get on this healthy regimen stack to begin with?
Without a doubt. Your whole body will work better. It's much more a long-term thing.
Right.
Long-term effects, but also short-term. And like we said before, that aggressive stuff does not increase IQ, increases productivity. The regular healthy brain stack will help increase IQ and your memory and concentration and all this stuff. So when you start using the aggressive stuff, the effects get amplified.
So it's debatable. I mean, maybe, depending on what kind of health you're in right now, what kind of diet you're on, you could do yourself more good just by taking the healthy stack than anything.
Yeah, if you're in really bad shape diet-wise right now, you'll notice a huge difference.
Right. I mean, like Sebastian Marshall made a great point when we talked about nootropics with him, is like, hey, look, you can take paracetam regularly, but if you're not doing 15 minutes of exercise a day, and you're going to get a much better upside if you improve, just stop eating the pizza and start exercising.
Yeah.
And so again, like, if you're layering on these things on top of a poor foundation, the house is still going to fall down.
Yeah, you guys can't see Travis, but he's a pretty jacked dude. So he's not sitting here with the beer gut.
Kid looks good. Kid not only sounds like Matthew McConaughey, right? All right, Travis, again, thank you for rocking our world and bringing this cutting edge information. Again, getting on the mailing list at tropicalmba.com. 2012 is going to be the year of physical optimization. Ian and I are the big 3-0, so we have to start thinking more seriously about how we treat our bodies. And all of us, I think, we love our work, we love our companies, and we want to put our best effort forward. And that means optimizing our bodies and our brains. Cheers, guys.
Boom.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening. Don't be shy, we've got a mailing list. Check it out at tropicalmba.com. Get yourself signed up and we'll keep you up to date on everything we do, plus give you those 50 free podcast episodes. If you want to say, hey, check me out on Twitter at tropicalmba. We'll see you soon.